I'm currently outside. I feel like my neighbors. I'm outside right now and I wanted to spice up this video. So hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Nicole and this is Comfyskin. I don't know why I said that, but okay. Today, what I'm going to be talking about is some sunscreen and this recent sunscreen epidemic that has kind of spread all over regarding the absorption of sunscreen into your bloodstream. And I just felt that talking about this article and talking about this study would only make sense if I was outside. So that's why I'm outside. So let's get into that video, or this video. Let's get into that topic. Before I get into that topic, I wanted to talk about how I didn't post for a little bit on YouTube or Instagram, and I wanted to apologize because I felt like I wasn't giving you guys what you deserved. Like, I wasn't giving you the content that I wanted to create for you. I felt like I was just creating to create, and I didn't have enough, oh my god, I didn't have enough time to make what I wanted to make to its full capacity. So I felt the only way that I could do that is to reduce the amount of times that I post a week and to just really express my full self. And so that's why I'm going to start incorporating a couple different topics into my channel. I'm not going to stick to just skincare, but that is really going to be my main focus. But don't be surprised if you see some fashion on here or just some basic everyday life things that I do that you might not be interested in, but you know, I feel like it's more important to create from your heart than just to create for someone else, you know? So I think that's what I'm trying to hit at, and I feel like it'll be more meaningful. And also, I have a new haircut. It's very obvious. When change comes, I just like to chop my hair. So yeah, I think that's what I was thinking about. I just wanted change and I cut my hair off. So yeah, okay, let's get into this video and let's talk about this research on sunscreen and absorption into your skin. So I'm going to be reading off my phone a little bit about this article and just to get the statistics and the facts right, so I'm not confusing anyone or saying anything wrong. So I apologize, but I'm going to do it. Basically, there was a article released in May regarding the absorption of certain ingredients within chemical sunscreens into the bloodstream. Now, this is nothing new. We have known this for a while, but a lot of people, and especially the news, have exploited this to the point where it scares people and now they don't want to wear sunscreen. So I feel the need to make this video because I really don't enjoy that, and I feel like everything should be thoroughly explained, and you should definitely do your research before you jump to any conclusions about anything. And it's unfair to the general public that the media feels the need to exploit something like this. It's just a part of what the media does. They're a 24-hour news service. They need to make money, so they have to create scary headlines. So that being said, I'm going to unscare you guys and explain what's going on. Alright, so to start off this study, there was a 4-group pilot study done with 24 healthy adults, and they applied sunscreen to their body, and the sunscreens contained ingredients that were commonly found in chemical sunscreen. So we have avobenzone, oxybenzone, ecamsyl, and octocrylene. So the participants applied 2 milliliters per centimeter squared of sunscreen 4 times a day to 75% of their body surface area for 4 days in a row. So each group received different combinations of ingredients in cream, lotion, or spray form. I believe one of those forms was used 2 times with another group. So one of the groups got like another cream or another spray or another lotion. I'm not positive. There was evidence of systemic absorption in all 4 ingredients through all 4 forms, or 3 forms. And basically, the FDA has this requirement that if there is more than 0.05 nanograms per milliliter of absorption into the bloodstream that there is a mandatory safety testing that needs to be done on those ingredients in order for it to be continually sold on the market. So sunscreen is probably one of the few skincare products that are regulated by the FDA because it's considered a drug. So that's why it's being so closely looked at, and that's why the news is covering on it, and it's a very sensitive topic because it's technically a drug and the FDA is regulating it, and it's calling for the safety test now because there's a certain amount of absorption into the bloodstream based off the evidence from this study. So I'm not going to go into detail about how much was exactly absorbed into the skin, like which ingredients absorbed more, because they all exceeded that 0.05 nanograms per milliliter kind of marker. Oh my god. So basically all we know is that it absorbed more than that, and the absorption did increase past the 4 days. So after the use of 4 days, there still was absorption into the bloodstream, even though they weren't using the sunscreen anymore. So basically my take on this study, the study isn't saying that the ingredients that are absorbing into the bloodstream are necessarily dangerous for the skin or for your body. The study did not state that. All the study stated was that there needed to be further safety testing based off the FDA regulations of that 0.05 nanogram per milliliter marker. And since those ingredients absorb past that marker, there needs to be safety testing. So the media likes to say in big headlines that, you know, the absorption can be dangerous and that it can be dangerous for your kids and your family and whatever, right? But if you really read the, sorry, I'm holding sunscreen. If you really read the study, it says nothing about danger, especially with children. It doesn't say anything about the absorption within children. They didn't even do the study on children. So I don't know what that has to do with anything. Some faults about this study are that the people applied sunscreen to 75% of their body, and they applied grams of sunscreen, like a lot of sunscreen. And we all know that we don't use that much sunscreen. And even people who really love to use sunscreen, like I religiously wear sunscreen, and I know that I don't even use that much sunscreen on a daily basis. Especially where I live, the winters are extremely brutal, so I'm barely outside in the winter, and when I'm outside in the summer, I'm horrible in the sun. I hide from it. So I really don't wear sunscreen that often year-round. So for me, 75% of my body, grams of sunscreen, 4 times a day, that's just unrealistic, and it's way too much for any average person to be wearing. We usually wear or put about sunscreen on about 15 to 25% of our body. That kind of shows that they're putting on way more sunscreen than a normal person would, so we don't necessarily know if there would be that much absorption shown in a person who only wears like 15% body's worth of sunscreen. So in that case, we don't necessarily know if these results are applicable to everyday people who don't wear that much sunscreen. People who are exploiting this study to generate revenue for their 24-hour news service are scaring everyday people from wearing sunscreen, and that bothers me because it's horrible. You know, there are proven studies behind these exact ingredients that provide data to prove that they protect against cancerous sun damage and stuff that can be the beginning or the start of cancer, skin cancer, and advising people against using stuff like this without any proper data or research is advising people against protecting themselves against sun damage and cancerous damage to the skin. And that's a little concerning because everyday people who aren't really as into skincare as someone else might be aren't going to really read the research. They're just going to listen to what the news says and what everyone's afraid of, and that's not a bad thing because it's just the natural reaction to be scared of something that might hurt you when someone's saying that. so I don't think it's very fair. This study does not mean that you should stop applying sunscreen altogether. If you are genuinely scared of the ingredients mentioned within this study and you just do not want to use them anymore, you're in luck, because I'm going to be going over a couple sunscreens with different ingredients, different options for you guys. If you are a person who is now afraid of these chemical ingredients, I don't blame you. It's a little scary. I'm a little like, what does this mean? But I don't think it's anything to be nervous about if there's no data. But if you are afraid, don't worry. I have a beautiful sunscreen that I love using, that's my personal favorite, and it is by TIZO, and this is their Photocuticle AM Replenish sunscreen, and it is lightly tinted. TIZO is an amazing brand for mineral sunscreens. It's great because it'll save our coral reefs. It's not exposing those chemical sunscreen ingredients to the water, to the coral reefs, to the fish, you know. This contains zinc oxide as its active ingredient, and that will protect against UVA and UVB rays, so it has your broad spectrum protection. You have your antioxidant C and E in here, and antioxidants will protect against free radical damage and strengthen the skin barrier and act as like a natural barrier for the skin. And then it has ceramides, which are a natural moisturizing factor. Those are natural factors found in the skin that hold moisture in, and so that's very awesome that that is in here. Very hydrating and also protects the skin against sun damage. It is broad spectrum 40. I would personally, I enjoy when sunscreens are like 50, but it has a really beautiful tint to it that reduces the look of a white cast. Actually, it doesn't even reduce it. There is no white cast, and it blends so beautifully and smoothly onto the skin. It's just like velvet. So now if you are someone who isn't necessarily afraid of, you know, the chemical ingredients within the sunscreens, I have two here, but one of them actually does not contain any chemical ingredients at all, so I will get into that in a minute. But this is zinc oxide and octinoxate. This is a combo of your mineral and chemical sunscreen ingredients. So you have your broad spectrum and your sun protection here. And this has an SPF 40 sunscreen protection. This is more of a lightweight mineral kind of sunscreen. I don't really like to consider this all mineral because it's really not, but it has this very light texture. I think that is from the chemical sunscreen ingredients in here. The octinoxate creates this very lightweight, smooth texture. Although this sunscreen is marketed as mineral, it does have that chemical sunscreen blend, which does give it that very light texture, that very easy to blend and zero white cast kind of feel on the skin. And it's very nice and soothing and doesn't really feel or smell like sunscreen at all. And the mineral ingredient in here, zinc oxide, might be a bit more calming on the skin. Usually chemical sunscreens contain ingredients that are a bit more sensitizing, a little bit more harsh on the skin. So I don't know if the blend is my favorite thing, but I still enjoy that it does contain components of a mineral sunscreen in here, and it's able to keep its very light and kind of easy to blend consistency. So for those of you who just want something completely different from the normal sunscreen life here in the US, I have the BEET Shield by Crave Beauty, and this was originally created, it was actually only sold in Korea, not originally, well, it was originally created there, but it was actually only sold there for some time, and then they finally got it over here to the US, so I'm going to whip out my phone again. This sunscreen is a bit different. And the reason why I'm whipping out my phone is because this sunscreen has different UV filters than we're used to here in the US. It has a bit more up-to-date modern filters that are commonly used in Korea, and they're not very much used here in the US, maybe even not at all. We kind of have a bit of an outdated UV filter ingredient list. So the BEET Shield is a really great modern twist on sunscreen. So the UV filters used in this sunscreen are more photostable and far less irritating than the ones that we use here in the US. So that is why I like how this is very different and not the same, and more skin calming geared and less irritating. I know I always find sunscreen a bit irritating on the skin, so this is actually my favorite sunscreen at the moment. And the UV filters that are used in here, I will say this out loud: Uvinol A+, Octyl Triazone, Amyloxane, and Tinosorb S, and Polysilicone 15. So those are all the UV filters used within the sunscreen here. This sunscreen is also 50 SPF+, PA, 4 pluses, and that just means that it is broad spectrum and it has a SPF of 50. The reason why I really enjoy this sunscreen is because it literally does not feel or look like a sunscreen at all. It has this very gel consistency. It feels like a moisturizer. I love it so much. It hydrates my skin. It feels amazing, and I don't hate putting it on. Let's just say that. It's almost like it's not a sunscreen, but it is. Alright, so that is it for this video. I hope I got to clarify some things for you guys. I hope being in the outdoors was very calming. I'm actually sweating right now, like a lot. I'm horrible in the heat. But anyways, I hope this video was clarifying for you guys. I don't want you guys to be afraid at all. I want you to know how to read research and how to understand it and be confident in your own opinion and your own interpretation of research and of other people's findings, you know? So that's really all my goal was, and I hope I can help you, and I helped you more today. So I also hope that these sunscreens helped you. I will definitely keep them linked down below. They're amazing. I'm a very picky sunscreen person, so these are definitely my top choices. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye.